Thank you, veterans. Chapter 3 First Drama Club Meeting. Annabelle was very excited about the first drama club meeting after school. Although she and Caitlin would put on a show at their homes from time to time, she wondered if this was going to be the real thing. Then again, acting is not real, it's make believe, Annabelle thought. She really hoped this club would be a lot of fun, and she was about to find out. Mrs. Phillips, the lunch monitor, was the teacher for the drama club. During the day, she helped out in the cafeteria and watched the kids during recess. Mrs. Phillips was always so friendly to all of the students, but she was also very firm when she needed to be. She could just give students a certain look and they would stop fooling around in the cafeteria. She reminded Annabelle of a spunky young lady who had a lot of energy. About 15 students attended the first drama club meeting after school. Many students were very surprised to see Mrs. Phillips, especially Victoria. Mrs. Phillips, what are you doing here? Where is the drama teacher? Victoria demanded. I am the drama teacher, and I'm glad to see you too. Please take a seat so we can get started, Mrs. Phillips said, smiling. Victoria wondered what a lunch monitor could possibly know about acting. She seemed to get herself a little upset before the meeting even began. But Annabelle's mom had told her to never judge people before knowing anything about them. She always said that you just have to get to know them a little better and they may surprise you. It seemed to Annabelle that Mrs. Phillips might have lots of hidden talents that many students didn't even know about yet, and the group would certainly find out soon. When all the students were sitting down, Mrs. Phillips took the stage and did a 3-minute dramatic speech and then sang a short song. The students later found out the speech and song were from the Broadway play Annie. Afterwards, all the students stood up and clapped for her because they were really impressed, even Victoria. Now, let me properly introduce myself. My name is Mrs. Patty Phillips, and I will be your drama club teacher for the school year. In this class, we're going to do a lot of acting games and get to know each other really well. It's very possible that we may act out a series of short skits to perform right here at Melville School if everything goes well. Now, does anyone have any questions for me before we get started? Mrs. Phillips asked. Annabelle quickly raised her hand with excitement and asked, "Where did you learn how to sing and act like that?" I started taking singing, dancing, and acting lessons at a very early age. I practiced a lot and was in quite a few productions in my day, Mrs. Phillips said. So were you ever rich and famous? Do you know any movie stars now? And what are you doing with yourself these days? Victoria blurted out. Many students began to laugh at Victoria's questions and talk quietly with each other about them so Mrs. Phillips wouldn't hear. Annabel thought Victoria's last question was out of line and spoke up boldly. I can't believe you asked that question, Victoria. Obviously, she's working with kids like us, teaching us all about drama. She did say we could ask her questions. I don't know why you're getting so upset, Annabel, Victoria said quickly. Mrs. Mitchell didn't seem to be bothered by Victoria's questions at all, but instead graciously responded. I will gladly answer all your questions. I never reached superstar status in the acting business, so I was never rich or very famous. I did know quite a few movie stars, but we don't keep in touch, she explained, and then paused for a minute. And as for what I'm doing with myself these days, Mrs. Phillips continued, I'm enjoying working with terrific young people. Little do you know it, but you keep me young at heart as well. Annabel thought Mrs. Phillips was one classy lady. She certainly wasn't going to let a disrespectful comment get to her. Mrs. Phillips had a job to do, and she was going to carry it out no matter what people thought about her. Annabel gained a high opinion of Mrs. Phillips in just one session, as many others did as well. She couldn't wait to see how this drama club was going to unfold. After all the pre drama activity, The actual class went on without a hitch. Mrs. Phillips included an awesome get to know you game that had everyone introducing a different person in the club. The only catch was that they had to introduce the person in a different voice from their own original voice. If the person left out any information about who they were introducing, the person could jump in and add more information. The kids were all laughing and having a good time, even Victoria. They were really learning a lot about each other in a fun way. The drama club seemed to be off to a good start. Chapter 3 is finished. I have a question for you. Why did Victoria seem upset at the beginning of drama class? Discuss this with your friends.